Away we go, everyone. A brand new edition of Matchday Minus One. It's presented by PointsBet, founding partner of Austin FC. Thanks for joining us, Adrian Healey, my good friend Michael Lahoud, right here at St. David's Performance Center, ahead of Austin going back on the road, Michael, to Sporting Kansas City, a Saturday night game. We'll move swiftly on from the Red Bulls game. I don't think there's anything more that needs to be said. The team are looking forward to getting back to business, and we'll get into previewing lots to do with that game in just a few minutes, but a lot to get to first. Breaking news this morning. A new arrival, Michael. Can't claim that this was one of the best kept secrets in MLS. Austin's interest in one Emiliano Rigoni has been well reported, well documented. It seemed to be a question of merely when and not if. Well, that question was answered this morning. He is going to be an Austin FC player, Michael. Your first thoughts, your immediate reaction?
It's time.
Yeah.
There's been a lot that's gone into this. This is a player that's highly touted throughout South America and the Americas, and he is now going to be welcomed with open arms to the city of Austin and Austin FC. This is an Austin FC team that has been primed to have another DP, primed to have another player of Rigoni's stature into the squad, and he's here.
A lot of excitement in the building, a lot of excitement amongst the staff when you talk about the sort of qualities that Rigoni's going to be able to bring. It's interesting. One of the first things that's brought up is the fact that he's left-footed, and we don't have many left-footers in the squad. Another attacking player. Obviously, the history of Driussi, his ability to attack. He'll play on the right primarily. He's versatile, can play on both sides, but we think he's going to start on the right, cut inside, but he can go outside too. Will bring something new to the table for Austin.
That 1v1 ability to have an out-and-out winger. A winger who can come inside and create, but also who can get to the end line, as you said. But wingers, their primary job is to serve. In the modern game, we don't see enough wingers who get to the end line and serve. You see more inverted wingers. He's an inverted winger, but chance creation should go up having him here.
Yeah. And another signal that this club means business. Another big signing. Second biggest signing in club history is being reported. And a player with real can barely get the word out, Michael. Real. Plenty of highlight reels for Rigoni, but real pedigree. I mean, he's 29, so it's an interesting move. He had plenty of suitors, could have gone many places. There were other teams in MLS, I can tell you for sure, that were interested in his services. This is a big move for a 29-year-old. You're getting to the sort of stage of your career where it may be a very important decision to make, and he's committed to Austin. He loved what he saw here. Having Sebastian Driussi here certainly helped in the recruiting process, but you saw the excitement. We were just at lunch with the team, and Maxi Urruti was like, "The Argentines are coming. The Argentines are invading. Keep them coming." A year to the day since Driussi signed, we signed Rigoni. There's some structure to this, isn't there?
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is the day that we sign big players. Keep it going. I wonder who will sign from Argentina next. Not going to allude to anyone. LM. But no pressure. No, but it's another milestone moment for Austin FC to sign a player of that caliber. And watching what he was able to do at Sao Paulo, one of the biggest clubs in Brazil, a club that's just storied, that's produced attacking players like Kaká, amongst other players. His ability to really get other teammates involved, his ability to kind of take the pressure off of Sebastian Driussi and Diego Fagúndez to produce for Austin FC. That relationship on the left-hand side has been very productive. Now it just makes me wonder, can he and Alex Ring on the right-hand side, or he and Danny Pereira, or whoever else plays in that, Owen Wolf even, can he now start getting that chemistry to get the right-hand side going consistently?
And just to give you an insight into sort of the processes involved in player signings like this, Josh told us that this was a player that first crossed his radar 3.5 years ago. Wasn't available. Josh wasn't manager of this team right then, but he became aware of Rigoni that long ago. This is the length of time sometimes it takes to make a project like this happen.
And persistence. So often in Major League Soccer, this is why teams put discovery rights on players because 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, if you come across a player, it may not be the right time for both player and club to get the deal done, but the persistence of the Austin FC staff, Claudio Reyna and his staff, are showing to get a deal like this done at the right time for this club.
Yeah. So now it's all about paperwork and lovely P1 visas. Remember that last year with Mr. Gite?
Yep.
So I think it's fair to say probably not going to be on board for a couple of weeks yet. They'll get him into town. He'll have some fitness. But even if he doesn't play till the end, even if he doesn't play for another month, Michael, to have him for the stretch run of the season is going to be a real bonus. Remember what Reynoso came in and did for Minnesota a couple of years ago at that time of year in September?
Even Nashville, when they had to wait half the season to get a DP in and a high-quality DP. This is why you bring in DPs at the time you do. Last season I said, what do DPs need to be? Difference makers.
Yeah.
And this guy could very well be a difference maker for Austin FC down the stretch.
Talking of difference makers, our other Argentine, El Crack, as everyone loves to call him, Mr. Driussi, the winner of this week's Goal of the Week on MLS. I'm sure you've all seen it. Now with 20 goal contributions in MLS, 13 goals, 7 assists, leads the league in that department. He's tied for the Golden Boot race. I think he's heading to the All-Star game next week. I think it's time to start talking about him as a genuine MVP.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd bring up an
acronym. Isn't it? We're getting to that stage of the season, 2/3 of the way through. Who are his competitors? Who's Driussi up against at the moment in terms of measuring stick?
I would say a player that Austin FC are going to face in September, Hani Mukhtar. It's a player that Nashville has been relying upon. Lucio Acosta, who Austin FC have faced first game of the season against FC Cincinnati. He's done well to get them in the mix. But as you and I talked about, whoever wins this award, whoever's going to compete with Sebastian Driussi is going to have to do it by also not just getting stats, but also how their team does. I think this year, team performance is going to have a big say because there are a handful of candidates, but really the team performance will have the final say.
It's so true that you say that, Michael. You look back at the history of the MVP award, and so often when there's 2 or 3 players in contention, it's which team does the best? And by the way, they only really take the regular season into account as well, don't they? Because all the voting's done by then. So whatever you go on and do in the playoffs almost doesn't count.
Well, I like the fact that this is the first season I've really ever heard goal contributions, total goal contributions, goals and assists. The modern MVP, the modern dominant player in the league does both. Last year, Tati Castellanos led the league in goals, but it was Carlos Hill because his goal contributions. It was what he was doing in totality that impacted the team that I think the focus, rightfully so, was put on. And Sebastian Driussi, what we saw against the Red Bulls, what he was able to do to put the team on his back and say, hey, if we're going to go down, we're not going to go down without a fight, and I'm going to have a big say in it. And that second goal, and I thought you had a great goal call. I know I'm going to embarrass you, but I thought your goal call captured the moment, the essence of how big of a goal that was, how special of a goal that was, because he hit it from downtown Austin.
Oh, yeah, he did. Almost the domain, really, wasn't it?
The other
Just to finish on the two Argentines, just what a delicious prospect thinking ahead to Driussi being able to combine with a player like Rigoni on one side, Fagundes on the other, having Maxi Arudi. I mean, it's Austin fans should be salivating at the prospect. I mean, we're already league-leading scorers. So what's next with Rigoni's insertion?
If you're going to be salivating, better bring your bib for when this guy comes into town, because it's going to be the complete package. And you never want to put too much pressure on a player before he gets here, but when you see a player of the pedigree of the players we're talking about, and the fact that they already have that connection that's been shown to work at a club like Zenit St. Petersburg, mind you, a club that won Russian championships and also played in the competition we both watch and you've called the UEFA Champions League. Which is a big deal.
Yes, it is indeed. So so much to look forward to. The most immediate thing to look forward to is Austin getting back on the road. Going to play Sporting Kansas City at Children's Mercy Park Saturday night. Michael, how the tables have turned for these two clubs in a relatively short space of time. You think back to last year, our expansion year, we played 3 very entertaining games with Sporting Kansas City and had every possible result. Scored first in all 3 of those games, by the way. Lost and drew up there, beat them at home in the last home game of the season. But since that point, Sporting Kansas City, who finished third last year, are now rock bottom of the Western Conference. Do you? It's one of those things as well. Do you believe what the table tells you? Does the table lie here?
Against Sporting Kansas City, you never want to look at what's happening on paper or in the standings, because this is a team on any given day that have the individual quality to beat you. And it's become the shift from team focus to individual focus. Daniel Shalhoub, Johnny Russell, two players that were standouts last season, they seem to be the only two players who are showing semblance of quality from last season, but they even seem to be off. And their U.S. Open Cup display this week was exemplifying that. It's just been the final action, the lack of quality in the final third, that have done them in week and week out.
Well, I'm sure a lot of you, like us, were watching with some interest on Wednesday night in Sacramento. As basically, Sporting Kansas City's season was pretty much on the line, wasn't it? Semi-final of the Open Cup, and they went the distance, 120 minutes, ended up losing in penalties. So it was almost the perfect outcome for Austin, wasn't it, to see them have to go that far on the road? Lot of tired legs potentially, and tired minds. Does it matter that they lost the game? Would it have been better for us if they won the game? Those are the two possible narratives.
If you're Austin FC, you're going up against the wounded animal, the ultimate wounded animal, because it's a Peter Vermees team. I've been on the other end playing against a SKC team that was near the top of the table, and we were in an Open Cup run, and we actually made it to a final with the Philadelphia Union. And that feeling of, hey, our season's on the line, this is our tournament, this is where things are going well. And we came out and we shellacked them. Yeah. And I've also been on the other end where we lost in the semifinals and we came out and we shellacked them. Yeah. And the commonality in that is they looked at the table and they made a mistake. Yeah. When we played them again, they beat us soundly because they learned their lesson. And for Austin FC, it's the mentality. That's the word we used last game. Mentality is going to be more important now more than ever, because when you look at not just SKC, but the next couple of teams, the mentality is going to be the difference in how we approach the matches.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought you were going to talk about your Open Cup final against Sporting Kansas City for Philadelphia, which I got to call. Lahoud slotting in a penalty from the penalty shootout. Yeah, maybe you should have been giving Graham Zusi a lesson or two on.
I was definitely channeling the ghosts of 2015, that PK shootout towards Graham. No, I've known Graham for a long time. We have mutual friends, and it's always a bummer when you see someone you know. But for Austin FC, if Graham's starting, that's a guy you go after.
When you talk about familiarity, for both Josh Wolf and Davy Arnaud, this is always an interesting trip for them. Both of them having spent so much time in Kansas City, particularly Davy, who was added to the Wall of Fame there just a few months ago, wasn't he?
Yeah, big congratulations to him. Both players who are very storied household names in Major League Soccer, and that successful period in the early 2000s. Yeah. I really think it set the tone for what SKC have done in the last decade under Peter Vermees. And these are two players who, at the time when I was coming into Major League Soccer, they were at SKC, and they were imparting their knowledge and their winning experience to the likes of a Matt Biesler, who was here at Austin FC. He was in my draft class. Yeah. And just all that just builds on itself to set up an organization for success.
Is this now the Ben Sweat Derby? That's the question.
you say it. Hey, it is. It is. Absolutely it is. And we talked with Josh Wolf about Ben, and a player who he's had quite a few experiences with in the past. And what Josh said was, look, here's a player that we were banking on to be our starting left back, and no one prepares anyone for what happens when 15 minutes into your Austin FC debut, you go down and your season's done. But kudos to Ben for putting in the work, and now he's back to playing in the league.
Let us bring your attention and the focus on the Lahoud mood. I'm very interested to see where we're going with this today. Coming off of last week, which admittedly was just, I think the coaching staff and the players have admitted it was just a bad day at the office. Every team's going to have one. It was, kudos to the Red Bulls. They came in, did what they needed to do. So coming off that full week of training, much better week of training in a sense than they'd had leading into the Red Bulls game for various reasons. And now this good news as well with the player signing. It's, I know Austin are heading in with real confidence here to Children's Mercy Park, and why not? What's your mood, or give us a taste of what the mood may be tomorrow night?
Oh, the taste, and let me clear my throat from the chicken that we had for lunch because I'm tasting chicken as we speak. No, but the pre-mood, the Lahoud mood is buzzing.
Yeah.
Because whenever you come off a defeat, the best thing that can ever happen is having a game.
Yeah.
And having a game and having time to rest, get your mind right. And this Austin FC team has shown resilience. And for this Austin FC team to be buzzing after the SKC game, pre-mood, so we do two. One is really transition. Every week, Major League Soccer is a league of transition. But Sporting Kansas City, when they're at their best, is when they win transition moments. Kind of like some of the teams we played very recently. And secondly, it's wide play. Whichever team wins wide play, whichever team deals best with 1v1 battles out wide, which is a strength for SKC, and also is becoming a strength for Austin FC, the likes of a Diego Fagundes, Sebastian Driussi, overloading wide areas, I think is going to be key for the Verde and Black to get 3 points.
So remember a draw and a defeat there. But remember, even in the defeat there last year, they took the lead and then had a player sent off. There were 3 very entertaining games against Sporting Kansas City. No reason to think this one is going to be any different. But they get back on the road, Michael. And the road has been like home for them of late since the international break. What a run they've been on their travels, and no reason to think that can't continue tomorrow night.
They should be fully confident.
Yeah.
Given the opponent, given the run-in the opponents had. But you always want to focus on what you're doing, and you play to your strengths. The road has been, if anything, the road has been a fortress as of late, and no one wants to play. No one wants to host Austin FC on the road because you start building reputation. And some of the top teams that have succeeded in the last decade or so, they've been very good, not just at home, but almost comparable on the road and difficult to play against. They find ways to win or get results. Austin FC have been doing that this year. 7
road victories, still joint top in the league. The Red Bulls winning here last week put them back on 7 as well, but a chance to make it 8 in Sporting Kansas City on Saturday night. Let's finish with a moment of gratitude, Michael, and shout out to a player who hasn't had much attention for good reason of late, Johan Valencia. Who we both of us, I think, agree he could actually have a pivotal role to play in this stretch run as we go down to the last 11 or 12 games. He's been out for several weeks with that right knee injury, but he's back training with the team, full-on training this week, even a little bit of last week. I'm sure he'll be available for selection tomorrow. It's going to be just another string to Josh Wolf's bow in the last 2 months of the season.
I think the fact that we have added depth in the middle of the park, it gives a different dimension to our defensive midfield. Danny Pereira has done well so far this season. Felipe Martins, Alex Ring has been excellent since moving back there during this run-in from the international break. And Valencia just gives you that added bite that you need in big games. Looking at some of the high-profile teams we play in Major League Soccer, I think we got a taste of what Johan will bring to this team when he comes back in that LAFC game.
I was going to say,
he was vital to get that
Go back
win.
and watch that LAFC game and what he brought to the table. Not to mention a crucial assist as well for Gabriel's opening goal.
Well, the composure. And I remember watching that game and celebrate. It was the double celebration, celebrating our honeymoon, the wedding, and the Valencia assist. What else can you ask for? But it was the composure. You don't typically see that from defensive midfielders in high pressure situations on the road in difficult places to play. I think this is a player that will grow in quality, and just his ability to be combative is something that, as a coach, you love to see. You need in big games in the middle of the park.
He's had to work really hard to get back. Again, testament to our high-performance staff here, but there haven't been many injuries. Johan has been almost the exception to the rule. He's been rehabbing with the medical team. Finally got back. It was his birthday this week as well, so it was perfect timing for Johan Valencia, who could yet have a big contribution to make, we think, this season. So
I just want to give a shout-out to Manny the Barber. For whenever you see bleach tips in this locker room. We've seen it with Julio. Different Julio coming in this year. Diego's back to the platinum blonde. Johan adopting the bleach tips. Something about that bleach product is in the air. Manny the barber.
Manny is a busy Manny, isn't he? He really is.
Manny on the money.
Yes, indeed. All right, that'll just about do it for today's Matchday -1. We will be broadcasting out of here again. You might remember earlier in July we did a couple of games out of St David's Performance Centre. We are back here tomorrow because the Rugby Sevens are over at Q2 Stadium, so we don't have the stadium available. We'll be back here. But really looking forward to bringing you Austin against Sporting Kansas City. It's the CW, 7 p.m., I believe, is the kickoff time locally, and always a great atmosphere. Always an enjoyable place to call a game from, Children's Mercy Park.
And we've talked with Nick Lima and some of the other guys on the team, and the common comment was great place to go and play.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to go and get a result. Yeah. Great place to get a result. I've been there myself.
We'll see if the VERDE Black can do just that. Thanks for being with us. Look forward to being with you tomorrow night for the big game.